You need a whole can of corn, which I left out. And you're going to add the corn when you add the potatoes at the end. Our lesson today is going to be beef stew. The ingredients you need for beef stew: carrots, bell peppers, red and green, a potato, onion, green onions, and celery, a chuck roast, see, chuck roast, McCormick beef stew seasoning, 1 packet, Tony's instant brew, pepper, seasoning salt, accent, and garlic. A pot this size, and a gallon of water. So your first step is going to be, you're going to season up you're going to cut holes in your meat, just stab holes in your meat. You're going to seasoning it on both sides. You're going to put it in the pan. You're going to fill the pan up with water. You're going to cook it on 300 for about 2 hours. So that's going to be our first step. Second step, we're going to cut up our vegetables. Third step, we're going to dice up our potato and we're going to cook it in the microwave for about 15 minutes. So, start your meat, cut your veggies, dice your potato, and put it in the microwave. Alright? Alright. Step 1. Use a knife. Just poke holes all through your meat. Season, pepper, accent, seasoning, flip that sucker over in the pot. Same thing on the other side. Season. Seasoning. Pepper. Then you're going to pour your 8 cups of water around the edges. Actually, that's more like 4 cups of water. See where you want the water line? Then we're going to get our garlic. Okay, where was I? Now we're going to add some garlic. And we're just going to sprinkle it all around. Smells delicious already. We're going to put our lid on. And we are going to cook it for about an hour and a half. Then we're going to flip it over and cook it for another hour and a half on 300. Next, as I said, dice up all your vegetables in little squares, and I'll show you a trick. This little machine, Badaya Chop Wizard, is awesome. What you do is you just square off all your vegetables, and it cuts everything. Open, it has a sharp little blade, and you're just going to put each one on here, and press down, and pop, pop, pop. Magic! It does all your peppers.
That's really cute. Wow, that's cute. Nice.
It does onions. It does everything.
Okay, come on, let's go to Cadillac.
It does celery.
So I need you guys to go there. I need you to come up a little bit.
It's off the chain.
I'm working.
It does green onions. So, you're going to cut all your vegetables up. And when you finish, ta-da! Awesome. So, we're going to cut all of our vegetables up. Okay, this has been cooking for an hour. So, we're going to flip that big sucker over. And we're going to let it cook for another hour. Okay, this has now been cooking for 2 hours. And what you want to do is you want to kind of poke it. And it's getting softer. You should just be able to break it apart with your fork like that. See how you don't even need a knife to cut it? So I would say let's flip it over one more time. Well, you don't want to dry it out. Well, okay, it's been 2 hours. I think it's done. So it's been cooking for 2 hours at 300. So now what you want to do is you want to slice it up in little pieces like this. And you don't even, I mean, this is so tender, you don't even need a knife. You could just pull it apart with the fork, and that's how you know it's done. Okay? So I've chopped up all my meat in little pieces. Now we're going to take our beef stew mix, put it in about half a cup of water, mix it up so we break up all the juice. See how we dissolved it? So it's all dissolved. We're going to add this to our meat. And you see all of our vegetables. We're going to add our vegetables. Add our onions, our carrots. We're going to add some more water. Next, I'm going to dice up my potato and cook it for about 5 minutes. We're going to cover this. We're going to do our potato. We're going to put it on about 4. So dice up our potato, and we'll come back. Okay, my potatoes are cooking. Now, as we can see, this is kind of a little watery. So we want to make it a little thicker. So we have our instant roux, Tony Sachary's instant roux mix. We're going to pour this into about half a cup of water. Not that much. Mix it all together. And that's going to add thickness to the beef stew. Now in about 5 minutes, I'm going to let that cook. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to do a taste test. And I'm going to see what type of seasoning we need to add to this while our potatoes are still cooking. Alright, I did my taste test. It actually tastes pretty freaking good. I'll just add a little accent. And I think I could use a little pepper. Not a lot. Give it a little bite. And just a little tiny seasoning. It's looking really, really good. And you see it's starting to thicken up. I'm going to add just a little more water, about that much water. And then we leave it on 4, and we're just going to let this cook for about a good hour. Okay, it's been cooking now for a good 40 minutes. I did another taste test. I added more water and more roux mix. And now we are going to dump our potatoes in. Go. So once we get all those dumped in, we are going to, it's basically done. We're going to turn it all the way down to like 1. And if you feel like you need more seasoning, add more seasoning. This tastes perfect. It doesn't need anything but the potatoes. And we'll come back. Okay, another finished product. This is our beef stew. It's all done. Potatoes are good. The beef is good. The vegetables are good. Yummy for my tummy, Marcus. New recipe. Okay, it's been cooking about 20 minutes now. You see how yummy it looks. The last thing you want to add is your corn. And the reason why you want to wait till the end is because if you cook your corn too long, it shrinks up. So you just pour the whole can of corn in with the juice and all. Stir it all up again. It smells so good. And I added a little Tony Saccharon because I thought it needed just a little more seasoning. So you can test yours and see if you want it spicier, more pepper, more seasoning salt. Looks really good. Now just put the lid back on and let it simmer about another 20 minutes. Turn it on about 4. And voila! It's perfect. I hope you enjoy your beef stew.